Welcome to the Arcadiology Free Play. Today we are remembering the Nintendo 64. My name is Brad Wiggin. My co-hosts are Jordan Crothers.
Oh, what's up? I'm here.
And special guest, friend of the podcast, Justin Myers.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a pleasure. You guys invite me to the show. I'd be excited for this.
Yeah, man, we've been planning on setting this one up for a while. I'm pretty excited to finally do it here tonight.
Oh, it's been a minute for sure, huh?
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, this is a little bit different episode than normal. This isn't our regular arcade episode, obviously. It's just a little bonus episode we like to throw in from time to time. So it's going to be a little different format than normal. But our main topic here, we're just going to discuss the Nintendo 64. To be clear, this isn't like a history lesson. We're not doing a best of list. It's just a couple friends hanging out, talking about old gaming memories. So do you guys remember where you were on September 29th, 1996 by chance?
Maybe not the specific date.
I was a 90s kid. So, yeah, 96, I was 6 years old.
Oh, yeah,
No.
I was 5.
I was definitely that Nintendo 64 kid. That meme?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Christmas kid.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
The 64.
Yeah, I don't have any memories of the console releasing or us even getting one. It was just like, I don't know, it was just always there. It was in my brother Sky's bedroom. I don't know how it got there, where it came from, but we were just there gaming on it. So, do you guys remember ever actually getting one?
I remember, I think a lot of people got this same exact bundle one. Maybe. It was the Atomic Purple bundle. You got 2 controllers. One controller was clear through purple. It was a clear purple.
Yeah.
But I remember getting that. Like I said, it popped out randomly. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Sweet.
Just add it. How about you, Jordan?
So, as I said, I was 5 years old, so I wasn't old enough to be in the know about oh, this thing is about to happen. I better get a hold of this. I just pretty much always did and wanted everything my older brother did and wanted. So I think I kind of just found out about it from him, and one day we just got it as a collective Christmas gift. And I don't know, I assume 95 or 96 or something. And I believe it was either bundled with or we also received as a separate gift. I think our first game was Wave Race 64 for it. And I think that was the only game we had for it at the time. So we just played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, that's how it used to be. We wouldn't have our own individual consoles. It was just you get one console, and that's you, your brothers, everyone else. Yeah, everyone's using that. You didn't get it for yourself.
Yeah, in the family, it was a bundled one. That was the big gift. The big gift everybody got. It was the bundle we got had 2 controllers, so it was kind of no fighting for that. We at least had a controller to play with.
Yeah, Brad, I'm sure you can relate. Being the younger brother, if there was a 1-player game going on, you were always getting the short end of the stick with that, though.
Oh, for sure. And if you were playing a 2-player game, you got the worst controller. So
the worst controller,
the Mad Cats,
the beat up joystick controller, huh?
Yes, sir. The one
doesn't have
loose.
any grip on it anymore.
What was your first notable game, or your first game for the N64, Brad?
I mean, like I said, it was just kind of it was there. I don't remember pretty much anything just in life in general before 11 years old. It's kind of a blur. I remember specific things, but it's not an organized memory. It's just kind of just snapshots of things. I don't know the timeline of what happened or when it happened, but
you gained your conscience as 11 years old, huh? You start tuning in.
That seems a little late, but yeah, something like that.
So as my brother got older, he kind of fell out of video games, so pretty much everything that was collectively ours, gaming related, eventually became just strictly mine. But whenever it was that way, whenever it was he and I were sharing this console, I think our real go-to games were always, as I said, the Wave Race we got with it, Star Fox 64. I mean, I talked about this on the old Switcheroo podcast. Me and my brother loved Star Fox, even though they always made me be slippy if we had to play multiple people.
Sleepy Toad.
Then one we played a lot together back in the day was the WCW games, man. And to this day, the WCW games for 64 are still my favorite wrestling games, man. It started with WCW NWO World Tour, then it bumped up to WCW NWO Revenge. I will still play those games over the modern WWE 2K games today, man.
You beat me to it right there. My family was into wrestling, so we got into WrestleMania 2000, I believe so, and No Mercy. Those were they're pretty cool. It's tons of people in the roster. You customization, you can create your own wrestler and stuff, and also the WCW ones. You beat me to it there. Those ones are cool. They still live up till today's day.
I think one of the things you said about was like creating wrestlers and editing them. I remember it might have been WWF Warzone maybe, where you had a lot of control over creating characters, and you could even change their skin to any color at all, and we would always make the Incredible Hulk because you could make their skin green. I remember that specifically.
People grew up on the Call of Duty Warzone. I grew up on the WWF Warzone.
The WWF Warzone for sure. And then the WCW Revenge game, you had a lot of freedom to edit the wrestlers. We would do that a lot. Just make the ones we like look really cool, and make the guys we didn't like Eric Bischoff, look like jokes. That was always fun.
Those games are like probably the first games I got when I got an N64. And what kind of got me into the N64 was obviously I was PlayStation 1. Then it's like might as well get the ladder, get the competing console with it. So we got the N64. Also,
we were the other way around.
Yeah, either or. And Mario 64, that was like one of the launch titles there.
Yeah.
Everybody probably had that game at least.
I'm terrible at it, but yeah.
Not your type of game, Jordan? Platforming?
It's platformer,
dude, especially
3D platformer.
Especially 3D platforming. Once you get the 3D platforming, dude, I'm done. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I'm just so terrible at it.
Yeah, that's the game. You can't talk about the 64 without talking about Super Mario 64. It's like the most iconic one out there.
Yep.
Yeah, the amount of time I spent just running around like the castle in that game, like not even because you gotta like jump into the paintings to go to the stages, but just jumping around the castle trying to find secrets, and spent a fair amount of time just on the title screen pulling like Mario's face around, how you can kind of like deform his face. For some reason, that was entertaining for hours.
Now, I like playing the first stage of the Bob-omb Battlefield. I love playing that one because it's pretty easy and simple. They don't really hit you with any of the hard stuff there. So I'll play the heck out of that stage, but any of the ones past that, like Dire Docks and all that, I just can't. I'm just not good at it, man.
Yeah, I don't think I ever finished that game. I've only ever probably hopped in on like Sky's file, because like I said, this is going to be a reoccurring theme here, because I feel like Sky, I don't know if he owned it. It would have seemed like it was more like his than anyone else's, or maybe he just made it seem that way. But yeah, a lot of the stuff seemed like it was his. I'd kind of just hop in and mess around on his files, or maybe do a couple stages here or there. But I definitely never beat Super Mario 64, unfortunately.
No way. I'd rather watch people play that one. Watch a Let's Play or something.
With every game, there was like rumors and little tips and tricks that you learned during the way. Older brothers, family members. Since that was like into early 2000s, I mean, internet was still like a newer source, so you'd be getting tips and tricks from magazines or word of mouth from bigger brothers or cousins
Nintendo
and such
power.
like that. Yeah, I remember hearing secrets like you can get Luigi in the game, or or where to get Yoshi and stuff at.
All the bullshit circulating on the playground. Like, yeah, I did it. He tells you how to do something. You're spending hours trying to do it, and it doesn't work because it's not real.
Very, very popular game. I believe probably everybody that got a N64 probably had that game by default.
Super Mario 64, yeah. I think I want to say that's the best-selling one on the console. It has the most sales.
Usually the game that's like packaged with the console is like the best-selling one a lot of the time.
Yeah, Mario 64 looks like number 1. The number 2 is Mario Kart 64.
Oh, that's another good game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been surprised if that was higher.
Yeah, those two, I feel like, I mean, those are the main ones that I would think of if you think of like the best selling for the 64. Like, maybe throw Zelda in there. Would expect that to be maybe in the top 3, but that one falls into the 4th.
Now, when we talk about Ocarina of Time,
the good one.
The good one, Ocarina of Time.
Exactly. I have strong opinions about Zelda games, man.
We were talking about some Mario Kart 64. I mean, I feel like
that is my favorite one.
Yeah, I feel like mostly the battle mode is what I got into a lot in that. Like, I was over
that's fun.
My cousin Brittany's house because she had one, and we would just play that, even just against each other, just going around and just messing around, like making little mini games for ourselves. Like, we'd go to the Block Fort map. That was our go-to. And we'd drive around the map, and we'd like go to like get like the little bombs, like the fake item bombs, and we just block off the bridges and like keep on going around doing laps, just blocking off everything and using as many as we could until they started disappearing. It was like a fun little mini game, custom game we'd do, just cruising around it.
I'll say my favorite Mario Kart is Double Dash always, but Mario Kart 64 definitely got a lot of time.
I was about to say, those are my top two favorites. I mean,
absolutely.
You can spank me in all these newer Mario Karts, but like, give me Mario Kart 64 or Double Dash. Who's your favorite out of Mario Kart 64? Who'd you like using?
I go with Ouija.
Ouija?
Yeah, it's...
Yes, sir.
6 out of have Toad. Wahoo!
Everyone does Toad, man, but I don't know. I'm all Luigi, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I've probably used Luigi. I don't remember who my main was there. But probably Luigi. I feel like that's who I would go with.
Everyone says Toad's the fast one, but then he gets bullied if you bump him.
Yeah, he gets bullied if you got a bigger character. Donkey Kong, Bowser, you just knocking it everywhere.
Too soft.
And of course, with the different cheese on the different maps. I think everybody knows about the Rainbow Road trick.
Yeah, you can kind of like
skipping the whole map.
Yeah, pretty much. On a time trial.
From the beginning, just veer off to the left side, and hopefully you can land on the other side of the road.
Just don't miss.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried that and never got it. I just fall off the map 100 times trying to figure it out. It's not really something I ever really knew precisely how to do. Always just falling off that map trying to take a shortcut, and it never works out for me.
So the shortcut would turn into a long cut, and overall,
yeah, big setback for me. That's no shortcut.
And I believe Wario as well. They had a shortcut. If you can
on Wario's map.
Yeah, on Wario's. If you can time your boost, it's like from the beginning. If you can time your boost and do your slide, you can nudge yourself over the wall. It get really competitive when everybody else knows how to do it, and you're just like, "Geez, I gotta out cheese you too."
Everyone's trying to do the shortcuts. Yeah, I don't ever remember being too good at that game, to be honest. I would mostly just do the battle mode, just play around in there for fun. And racing, we do that here and there, but mostly it was just about the battle mode. And like Jordan said, Double Dash, that one we went hard on. Played that one like crazy on the GameCube, but Mario Kart 64 was all battle mode.
That one got really competitive. I think my favorites were the Troopas.
Koopa Troopas, yeah.
Yep. You got shells for days, green ones and the red ones.
We're talking Double Dash here?
Double Dash, yes.
Oh, yeah, my go-to team is always Bowser Jr. and Koopa Paratroopa for Double Dash.
Mixing up a little bit.
Yeah, dude, I like to have that big Bowser shell for the smaller tracks, and then the triple red for pretty much anything else.
I got an unpopular opinion here for you guys, but I think Diddy Kong Racing was the superior kart game on the 64. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't think it's that
I like it for the fact because they introduced one of my favorite characters from N64.
Conker?
Yep.
Or I was gonna say isn't that the first appearance of Banjo too?
I think so. I think it came out before his game did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I knew you meant Conker.
Mm-hmm. So many different movie Easter eggs in that game. But yeah, Diddy Kong Racing, that was a fun one too. Didn't it have like you can go in the water and you can fly on that one too?
Yeah, they had like the different types.
Yeah, it had all kinds of different vehicles.
Yeah. That was like so different. If you played like Mario Kart and you played that one, like you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean the main thing that I'd like was instead of just going like race to race, they have like an overworld. And you're traveling around that and has like different races you have to unlock. They have boss races where you have to have like the giant boss battles you have to actually... I just thought they were more interesting than just like an 8-person race. You have like this huge boss that you're trying to race, and it makes it like a real intense match. But I don't know, I love that. You got to rack up the balloons, unlock the different maps, and just cruising around that overworld was pretty fun. Almost gave you like the Mario 64 vibe, just kind of hanging out in the world, just checking it out, and not really progressing at all. So yeah, I love Diddy Kong.
It was kind of similar to Crash Team Racing because I think they had an over hub too. They had where you can race the track to track, but it had like an overworld hub, just race around. But yeah, Diddy Kong Racing with Rare, with all the IP they have. They had Donkey Kong. You said Banjo. They had Conker. So it was pretty cool that they had all these different characters in the bunch.
Yeah, I still remember. It sticks with me the most from Diddy Kong Racing. Like that elephant genie. I think his name was Raj or something like that. When you're done talking to him, he says, "Bye-bye for now," and then disappears. Like I still say that to this day. I'll say it to like
I've never heard you say that.
I don't say it to you, but you know.
It's forever stuck.
You're gonna have to start.
But yeah, that's my guy.
So Jordan, did you say you said that was the first ever appearance Banjo was introduced?
I think I'm not 100% on that, but I'm like 60% sure. like kinda.
That sounds right. I'm pretty sure.
Banjo-Kazooie was a fun game, but I think when I was younger, obviously we're like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe around that time whenever these games came out. This is a small fear. Any kind of water stages, especially with like sharks or anything like that you have no control in, I hated those stages. Hated them whatsoever. So Banjo-Kazooie, there was like some of those stages I didn't like whatsoever. So I didn't play too much of those because it felt like you weren't in control.
Yeah, that's another game that Sky got really far, and I'm sure he beat it. This is one of the first games that pop up in my mind is Banjo. Despite not really playing it myself, it was a secondhand, just watching Sky play this one.
Yeah, you always watch the older brother play stuff. I used to love that. And yes, I was correct. That was his first appearance.
I think over the years I didn't play it, but I got into it though.
Yeah, that's one I need to go back and play still. I need to mark that one off the record.
That's pretty much what I did. I didn't get to enjoy it when I was younger, but later in the years I'm like, let's give it another whirl.
I played a handful of Banjo-Kazooie, not a lot though.
Have you guys ever played any kind of hidden gems, like not top sellers or just anything that you got like rented at Blockbuster or you got out of a whim?
I made a whole list of games that I thought were worth talking about, and I'm trying to look through them and think of what is like the most obscure one.
It doesn't have to be the most obscure, but I think for one, I can start off. I don't know if you guys remember this. It's a platformer. It's 3D. It kind of reminds you of Mario 64. It's called
Gex?
That's usually when I think of Gex, I think about PlayStation.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, wait, was that not on 64?
I'm not sure. When I think about Gex, I just instantly think about PlayStation for some reason.
Maybe I'm making that up.
No, I'm pretty sure there's a 64 version.
Is there?
Yeah, that's not the one I would have played, but I'm pretty sure it was on 64 as well. I was also Gex. I tie him to PlayStation as well. Just mentally, he was on both.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I remember. Anyway, I remember having Toys R Us dollars. Then I went to Toys R Us, and I ended up getting like obscure game. It's called like Rocket Robot on Wheels. It had the same gameplay style as a platformer, kind of like Mario. You collect coins, and you collect like instead of stars, you collect tickets and stuff like that. It's like a little weasel. We end up like causing a calamity in this amusement park where you have to like fix the pieces up. Kind of almost like a little storyline, almost like Ape Escape almost too.
Okay. Yeah, definitely never heard of that one.
I was about to say it was kind of an obscure game. It was like a puzzle-esque game, platformer. It was pretty cool, but every time I explain about it to somebody, they're like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Is that one you owned, or did you rent that one?
I remember this clear as day. I ended up getting like some Jeffrey dollars. Then when I went to the local Toys R Us, man, times were simpler, so much simpler. Having the consoles and playing them, and you get to play the demos that came out to it.
Of course.
That was one of the games that was on the demo. I'm like, let's get this game. It kind of reminds you of like Spyro. Kind of reminds you of those similar games at that time, Mario. So I ended up getting it, and it was a little tough. I think I got far, but I didn't quite beat it fully. But yeah, it was called Rocket Robot on Wheels.
What a name.
I mean, I could always look into it because I own a few N64 cartridges now, but what I play is I actually have an N64 EverDrive, which if you guys don't know what that is, I just have that. For anyone listening who doesn't know what that is, it's essentially just a cartridge that has an SD card slot on it that you can just put all your games on the SD card and throw it right in there. So technically have every N64 game ever on that cartridge, so I could always look into it if I wanted to.
Through and check them out. See all the ones you missed.
Yep.
What other games that you played but people probably haven't heard of?
I don't feel like I have too many like that. Most of mine are either like the big names or, like at least if you haven't played them, you've at least heard of them.
Have you guys ever played Blast Corps?
A little bit of that.
Yeah, so that was another game made by Rare. You were more or less just destroying buildings and towns. Like, that's more or less your objective. I think in a lot of the stages, there's like this giant like truck that's wheeling some kind of like nuclear weapon, and you have to essentially destroy all the buildings in its way so it doesn't crash. That's kind of the objective of a lot of the stages, and it sounds pretty generic, but it was honestly fun. Like, my brother and I sunk a lot of time into that. That's all the game is. You're just controlling these different vehicles. There's simple things like bulldozers and whatnot, but then you also have like these giant Gundam-like mechs that you can sometimes control on some of these stages, and that's what you're doing. You're just destroying buildings and finding the most efficient, quickest way to destroy them and building up points and making sure this little giant weapon truck or whatever it is making it through safe.
You're not the first person I heard talk about that, but I have not played it myself.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's like an obscure game, but...
Well, I don't mean that as in like it's a popular game. Someone else has recommended it to me. I'm gonna have to check that one out sometime.
It's a fun one.
I don't got anything too niche there, but something that's a funny story for me is Cruisin' USA. Just like that little racing game.
Yeah. Yes.
This game taught me what my initials were, because like whenever you finish like a racing game like that, you put your 3 initials in, obviously. And
or ASS.
Yeah, or you could do that. But on our game, we had Sky and Kyle. They were playing, obviously. So like theirs would be like SWW, KWW. So I was like, oh, mine must be BWW. But that's my middle name's Martin, so that's not my initial. So I was,
I was like learning this for the first time.
Yeah, so I'm going through the scoreboard, putting my initials on the board. That's BWW. Then I realized, wait, that's not my middle name. That's not what it should be. But so my initials are BMW. So that a little car, educational lesson for me.
There you go. It's a car too, huh?
It was fitting for the game, right? But I mean, as far as the game, pretty standard arcade style racing game is. I don't know. I played it in the arcades a bit as well.
Did it add anything different, or did you just kept it true as like an arcade to console?
I don't know if there were like slight differences, but overall, I think it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I saw recently on Facebook Marketplace, someone was selling like one of the arcade versions. I was like, I was thinking about picking that up because they would just be cool to have to put in a game room someday. I didn't get it, but it just made me think of that story.
I'll bring up 2 games here that I'm thinking maybe you guys haven't played before. So the first one, this was one I just always rented. This was back whenever Blockbuster was around, and I would rent different games constantly. This is very clearly a game I rented whenever I was a small child, but I honestly had a lot of fun with it. Did you guys ever play Rugrats Scavenger Hunt?
Oh, you know what? I have to look that one up. I feel like I remember.
It's like the board game. It's almost like Mario Party, like without the mini games of sorts. Like you're walking around this board and collecting cookies and stuff instead of stars and coins. And honestly, dude, I kind of had a fun time with that game back in the day.
Okay, that's not the game I was thinking
I think I played the other Rugrats one. It was like
the Paris one.
No, it's like the first one, but I don't know if it was ported to
know.
The 64. It was the Sony one where they had little cut scenes and episodes and stuff like that.
I think that's what I'm thinking of as well. I didn't play the Scavenger Hunt one.
Gotcha.
So it was better than Mario Party?
Honestly, man, maybe this is my controversial opinion, my hot take. I don't like the Mario Party games at all. The mini games are fun. The mini games are fun.
Right.
The board game aspect is hot dog shit. It's so awful. It's purely luck based. It's just okay. Whoever the star is closest to, you win. That's it. That's all it is. You walk around, you collect coins, and then whoever the star is close to wins. That's it. It's not fun. The mini games are fun. The board game aspect is awful.
That's where I shine at the mini games. I mean, RNG won't be on my side. I'll be getting like snake eyes all day. I'm not even getting closer to the star. But that's where I shine on. I'm like, all right.
It's so dumb.
I do like how it has the perfect balance. It has the board game-esque, rolling the dice, going traversing around there, trying to collect the stars and such. Then you got like a little break where you can do mini games. You can do
I'm down for the mini games, but
the team mini games, or like the 1-on-3, or like just the free-for-all ones.
Yeah, that was the fun of it. Like I agree with you actually on that, sure. Jordan. The board game kind of sucks. If we play it now, like I played with the kids not too long ago. I would just put on like the mini games. Let's take turns picking those because it's otherwise everyone's gonna hate each other.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah. But anyway, the other game I wanted to bring up, and there's actually just kind of one mode in specific in this game that I want to talk about. Did you guys ever play Monster Truck Madness?
Nope, haven't heard of that one. Sounds pretty generic.
Monster Truck Madness. Is it kind of Twisted Metal-esque or no? Or not really?
No, maybe parts of it, but the very specific reason I'm bringing that up. A few friends of mine and I mean, we figured this out a few years ago. They have a specific game mode in there that is literally just the first version of Rocket League.
Really?
It's legitimately just there's a goal on each side. You're controlling the monster trucks, and there's a giant soccer ball. It's 100% just like the first version of Rocket League.
Imagine that, like Rocket League's like, boom, we got an idea.
No, they don't. They just took it.
I know. They're like, we can make leagues out of this now. It's competitive now.
Yeah, it's 100% just that.
I wonder what other old games we can rehash and become millionaires on. We got to go through this catalog, guys.
I know, man. I know.
Most of the popular games were like made on pretty much like hacks and mods.
What do you mean, like currently?
Well, Half-Life, like Counter-Strike was what, a Half-Life mod?
Oh yeah, I don't know the history on that, but I mean, I'd believe you if you told me that. So we're gonna mod Monster Truck Madness, Jordan?
I think they already did. They're like, let's cut the fat out on this and let's make this game competitive.
I got a small one. Nothing. I don't got too much with it, but you guys played the Rampage World Tour, just climbing around as the monsters, just smashing buildings for some reason.
Not the N64 version.
I was gonna get into there. I was like, I know quite a few sit down party games, and Rampage would be one of my favorite ones there.
Yeah, it's such a mindless game. You just run around smashing stuff. It's fun for a while. I mean, it gets old, but it's an entertaining game.
That's whenever you get to two other controllers and have 4 people playing at once. Was that the one with they had the alien? You had to go in space and get Ruby. She was like the alien.
I don't actually remember. I don't remember the details of it. I just remember playing it, like, just the simple gameplay of it. There wasn't much to it. You just keep smashing
beat up buildings, go to different states. Were you like always like anticipating, is it gonna hit closer to us? Are we gonna have like the gorilla and the wolf and the lizard smashing like where we live at? Because they had like DC, they had like Tokyo.
You theme one after your hometown. That'd be fun.
We can make it, boys.
Put your own house in it. Yeah, not much on that one, but it was a fun little game to blow some time on.
I think that was like up there with the party games that was that Mario Party.
Of course.
Another popular one. I want to rewind a little bit. Super Smash Brothers.
Oh,
there it is.
There's a good one.
I still remember the commercial when it came on. You just see like all these characters, Mario, like Pikachu, Donkey Kong, all like skipping around. Then all of a sudden it becomes like WWE. They're punching and smacking each other. I don't know if you remember that commercial at all.
Oh, 100%. The so happy together in the background. Yep, and the guys wearing the costumes, beating the hell out of each other. Everyone remembers that commercial, man.
Yeah.
I remember we rented that game once again from Blockbuster, my brother and I immediately was like, I'm Pikachu every single time. I don't care. And as a small child, you just spam the down B thunder attack because it was the strongest one.
Do the noob spam. I mean, it gets you the win. That's what you gotta do back in the day. You don't know any better.
I loved that game so much whenever we rented it, man. I just wanted to play it forever.
I played a lot of Mario on there.
You used Mario?
Mario a lot. Then I got into Captain Falcon.
Yeah. You found out about that Falcon Punch.
Yeah, I was about to say that Falcon Punch did some damage because I grew a thick skin over the years. Everybody picked the old reliable Kirby. So whenever they try to smash you with the brick and stuff like that, you got to time that Falcon Punch.
Time it up just right.
Yeah, I don't know if I used. It might have been Luigi. I don't know. They're definitely on the GameCube on Melee. That's when I locked down Luigi as one of my go-to guys. But in the original one, I don't really know that I had much of a character. I mostly played over at my cousin's house. Me and her would play all the time, so it wasn't like too crazy. We didn't get like real into it as far as like competitive. I mean, obviously you're playing Smash Bros. You're always getting a little competitive, but I wasn't like learning all like the intricacies and like trying to figure out like strategies. I'm just smashing buttons and maybe I'll win.
Just button mashing, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nah, dude, it's Pikachu, Thunder, down B all day. That's all you needed. Anybody gets close to you, they're getting blown back, dude.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to button mash as a little kid.
That's what we had to do to survive.
I like using Mario, obviously, but Captain Falcon, if he was like unlocked. Samus was like a little too fast because from my young age, she was like, I always throw myself off the edge of the maps with her. I think everybody used Kirby with this float.
It's a nice way to not fall off.
That was like the typical combo everybody learned. Him and just do a smash, try to get that damage in. Hopefully somebody flies off the screen.
And then, of course, when you rent video games, you never know if you're going to get one that, has someone's good save data on it, and sometimes it won't. And maybe one time you'll rent it, and you'll have none of the characters unlocked. You rent it next week, all of a sudden you have all 4 of them there, and it's like, oh my god, where did they come from?
Didn't even know they were there.
or you'd be like marking the cartridge or something like that so you can get the same game file. Try to at least, you know what I mean? You'd be like
hoping someone didn't delete the data.
Yeah,
who was that kid that would erase the data on a rented game? Like, why do you care? Just let it go, man. Someone will get the game and just like erase everything on it, and you come by it again. It's like, I got to start over now.
That person was a menace. That person was a menace, huh?
What was that, Jordan?
I was gonna say at that time I had no idea who Ness or Captain Falcon were, so I was pretty much learning about those characters completely from Smash Brothers.
They didn't have too many. They had what? Mario, Luigi. They had what? Jigglypuff.
For the unlockables or just all the characters in total?
Yeah.
I think there's 8, and then you can unlock 4. So there's Mario, DK, Yoshi, Pikachu, Samus. Mario, DK, Yoshi, Samus, Link, Pikachu, Kirby, and Fox.
Fox, yeah.
And then you can unlock Ness, Falcon, Luigi, and Jigglypuff.
Did you say Ice Climbers? I might have missed that one.
They're not in the first one.
They weren't in the first one?
No, they're not till Melee. N64 could have never handled a double character like that.
That's true. That's a good point.
For these games, would you have like a top list, like a Mount Rushmore for N64 games?
Oh, man. I mean, I know which one is my number 1 for sure. After that, I might have to think about it a bit. I mean, obviously, everybody's opinion is going to be super different, but I think I could probably pick 4 if I had to.
Yeah, that's tough.
Do you want me to name mine?
You don't have to name it. I mean, we can come back to this question if you want to. I don't want to be jumping the gun too early.
Yeah, let's save that for the later on near the end. Yeah,
absolutely.
After we talked about a bunch of games, and we'll say our top 4.
Sounds good.
But like, Conquer that was a mature rated title too. So
yeah,
it's like you had to like sneak that away, even though he looks so cute and furry.
It's weird for N64 to have an M-rated game,
right? I just liked how I had all the spoofs back in that time, like The Matrix, spoofed off of Clockwork Orange, a whole bunch of different movie titles and references that they had during the game.
I've honestly never actually played it myself.
Oh, such a fun game. Such a fun game.
Yeah, I think I missed out on that one too. I never played it. I know about it, but I've never actually played through it.
Yeah, like it starts getting harder. Like you're playing The Matrix, you're like doing the old like slow down time with Uzis and jumping around. You're this little furry squirrel. Another mature rated be what?
Oh, dude, there were some bad South Park games for the 64.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Some really bad ones.
I think I only remember the first stage here because I sucked at it, but turkeys were like chasing after you.
Yes, you had to throw snowballs at them.
Uh-huh.
It was like a first-person like shooter with snowballs, essentially.
There was South Park,
so
but Doom style, right?
Yes. I think there was a kart racer or something of some sort, and then my favorite one is by far Chef's Love Shack, which is essentially a trivia game. It's the South Park trivia game. It's so bad. The South Park games were terrible.
That game was fun. It was trivia, but they also had mini games as well, kind of almost like Mario Party. They had like
it was just not very good.
South Park humor. Obviously, they had asteroids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was rough.
I remember the first person shooter one where you'd pee on the snowball when it turned yellow, then you throw it.
Yep.
I remember doing like the multiplayer on that.
It's like first person South Park, and you had to like gather the gang around. Then the turkeys are just trying to chase you around, and you got a snowball, but they added that you can piss on the snowball and it turns yellow. Throw it at them.
Yeah.
I think I beat the first stage, and it was so hard to even like progress into it. Plus, I was kind of young.
Yeah, I think the controls for that game were pretty terrible too. Like it just did not control well. It's just the controller itself. I mean, the N64 controller, it was designed so weird. It was a unique concept.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some games it works really well for. Other games it just doesn't fit right.
It's interesting.
That's right. Who didn't play an N64 or who did is like when your guys ready to play a game like Mario Kart, and you see that they don't have their hand in the middle where the joystick's at. You're like, uh-oh, this person's gonna get obliterated.
Yeah, did people ever actually use the handle on the left? Like, what's that for?
The D-pad?
Yeah.
For the rare games where you need the D-pad.
Or even the right side with the yellow buttons, they were like the C.
Yeah,
That was
little
like
C
more
buttons.
angles. That was like camera angles for like Mario, I believe so.
Yeah, they had their uses, especially in like Ocarina of Time and stuff. They had a lot of uses.
Needed a third hand for that controller, so we just
Exactly.
weren't born for it, guys. But yeah, that still makes like games today to emulate kind of hard sometimes, just because the way that controller was so different from anything today. Like you
Yeah.
still try to emulate something, if you're not using like an N64 type controller, it just feels awkward.
Yeah, N64 emulation's never been super great.
Was there any games that like you rented or like you bought and it was just a total bust?
Oh, absolutely. I'm especially back then pretty big into JRPGs. I love me a good RPG game. The 64 is not the console for this for RPGs by any means, but there's two that I can think of. There's one that is pretty okay, and then there's one that's like notoriously bad. Like everybody knows Quest 64 is a terrible game. It's a terrible RPG, and you should never play it.
You said Quest 64?
Yes, I rented it, tried it, because I wanted to play an RPG, and it was not fun. Nobody thinks that game is fun.
That's definitely on the list. Well, whether if you Google it right now, it's definitely up on the top. Like, yeah, stay away from this game.
It's not good.
Coming from like a RPG player like you, right?
Not a good time.
Yeah, I can't remember any that we like rented or anything. Like I said, most of them, the games, I don't know how they got there. We just had them. We were popping in and playing it. Or I was over at my cousin's house playing it. But one that we never owned, and I don't know who I had. I think it was at a friend's house or something. But I finally got to play Pokemon Coliseum, and that one, I just remember that was like so crazy to be able to see the Pokemon in 3D finally, like from your Game Boy, being able to hook them up and bring your team over.
Are you thinking Stadium?
What's Coliseum?
Coliseum's GameCube.
Okay, same thing then.
Stadium and Stadium 2 are N64.
Those games are great, but I remember you had to like spend about $100 because you had to get that expansion pack with it.
The transfer
in order
pack.
To play it.
Yeah,
Transfer
Worth
pack,
it.
yeah.
Worth it.
You had to buy the game, obviously, then you had to get the transfer pack, which was it bundled at that time? But I knew it was a pretty...
Yeah, usually I think it typically was.
That's a game that I haven't owned, but I went over with friends and I just played. I played it or I just watched them play it. It was phenomenal seeing them 3D, like actually seeing them.
Is that game even worth playing without bringing your Game Boy team over? Like, is it even fun?
100%.
It's still fun that way?
Yes.
Oh, I to this day still play Pokemon Stadium 2 constantly, all the time.
It's gonna start over fresh. Then we did that. We like he's like, let me see your team on your on the Game Boy, and I transferred it over, and it was like had that great gameplay value to it. You can keep on playing it.
Now, I will say it's much harder if you don't transfer your own team over because the rental Pokemon you can rent instead typically have really bad movesets, and you're going to have a really hard time beating like the higher level cups. So I definitely, if you want to fully like 100% the game, I pretty strongly recommend you transfer your own Pokemon over, but you can still have a really good time even with the rental ones.
Are you able to do that with your EverDrive? Are you able to play it just like it's the real game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
That's cool.
We play this all the time. So I'll get into like my little fun thing here. A little story I wanted to bring up. So one of my absolute favorite moments of every year involves my N64. So I have a group of friends. We go to a campground every year for a Memorial Day weekend. Of course, it's like glamping basically. We have electricity and all that. We'll have our canopy set up, and my buddy brings his little TV, and I bring my N64. And every year, I think on that Saturday night that we're there, we'll hook up the N64 and we'll gather around like late at night. It's like 11 p.m. We're outside under this canopy playing 64. And one of the games we always go to is Pokemon Stadium 2, and we'll do that for the mini games, not the actual battles. The mini games on Stadium 2 are so much fun, dude. We play those constantly. Every time we get together, we're playing those games, I feel like.
Does anyone bring their Game Boy to hook it up?
Nah, we don't do any of the battles or
okay.
anything. We just play the mini games together.
Okay.
They're a good time. We will play that, and then like our typical games we'll go through are that, and then the sports games. We do NBA Hang Time, NFL Blitz, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. Those are the four main games that we always do together. It's always a fun time.
Solid multiplayer ones there.
Dude, it's such a good multiplayer system, man. Such a good party system.
Like the first I mean, maybe not the first, but at least of its time, the first 4-player like, with 4 ports built into it, just made it the go-to one. Like you and 3 other friends.
I'm almost positive it is the first home console with 4 ports.
I think there was like an Atari, one of the old Ataris had something like that. I think so. I mean,
I don't know, because I was just listening to another podcast literally like a week ago about the N64, and I thought they said it was the first one, but I could be wrong.
It's the first one everyone thinks about, but there was...
Yeah, for sure.
The Atari 5200 had 4 ports. I don't know what it was like, but yeah. So, I mean, no one's going to think about that when you talk about a multiplayer party console, though.
The more you know.
But yeah, even at that time, it was crazy to have 4 people on the same console, not needing some like weird, unique adapter like the PlayStation and stuff. You just pop in 4 controllers and you're ready to rip.
Yes, sir. Oh, and I have another answer for the question Justin asked us about did we ever like buy or rent a game that we were excited about and it was terrible? So speaking of Pokemon Stadium, kind of sticking with this theme here, I was a huge Pokemon kid growing up. I mean, I'm a big Pokemon adult now, but whatever, that's beside the point. Huge Pokemon nerd. I needed all the Pokemon things as a little kid. There was a game that came out for this console that I was so excited to play when I was a kid. It seemed so cool. It was so unique. Guys, if you've never played Hey You Pikachu, it's the worst thing you'll ever play in your entire life.
Is it bad?
Do you know what the game is?
It doesn't have like the little mic peripheral you got to plug in and talk to Pikachu?
It has the microphone peripheral, and you're supposed to talk to him while you play the game. It does not register what you're trying to tell it very well at all. It's a mess. And even if it did work well, the game is still just in general not that good. There's not a whole lot to it.
Does he not even like respond very well to you? Or like what happens when you try to say something? Like what are the commands? Is there anything worth doing?
So the majority of the game is like you and Pikachu are just like going out and like hanging out for the day. And for the most part, you're telling him like, hey, go pick that thing up or something like that. Like there's not a whole lot to it. It's not very fun. He doesn't respond well the majority of the time. He almost never understands what you're actually trying to say. It's a cool idea. It was a great idea in theory. It's just in practice, it was so awful.
just Nintendo trying to be weird like they are and make some strange game with some unique thing, and yeah, it doesn't always work out.
They like to be weird, but it doesn't always land so well.
Well, we're missing one of the bigger ones here still. Some GoldenEye 007.
Yeah, I knew we'd get to that.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. I mean, surprisingly, I don't remember playing it a ton. I don't know that we had it. If we did, it wasn't one that I was playing too heavy. I mostly remember playing it over at one of my friend's house. My one friend Dylan had. I remember playing it over there. A bunch of kids over there, and I'm pretty sure I sucked at it. But it was like it was long before my shooter days, so I wasn't very good at that. I felt like the maps were just like so hard to understand. I didn't even know where I was going. I just remember getting like lost and like stuck in a bathroom. I was like, dude, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I was just getting wrecked by everyone. But yeah, that's a good 4-player one.
Yeah, I didn't get very much into GoldenEye. I mean, of course I played it, but I didn't really get into it too heavy at all. I mean, I kind of just played it here and there. That was another one where I kind of like watched my brother and like his friends playing it, like the campaign mode. But for the most part, I don't know. I didn't play it a whole lot. I definitely recognize it for what it is. And then, of course, there's also Perfect Dark, which is kind of Rare's follow-up to GoldenEye. I played that one a little bit, but again, not a ton.
Yeah, a lot of people that talk about them both say that one was better. It just obviously didn't get the hype because it was like the end of the N64's life compared to GoldenEye, so it didn't take off like it probably should have.
Yeah, it's kind of just the newer, upgraded version, more or less, of GoldenEye, just without James Bond in it.
Yeah. Justin?
To be honest, GoldenEye is the first game that got me into my first-person shooting career right there. That and Doom. A lot of party games. A lot of party nights and stuff like that. Me and a group of like 10 other people like passing the sticks up. We would do bands, like all bands on Odd Job. He was a short guy with a bowler cap. You can barely even shoot him.
Of course, yeah. Have to.
I liked how you had different they had different mods or whatever, you can do paintball mode, big head mode, you can do You can get rockets and stuff like that. I think one of my favorite game modes on there was the golden gun, where you found the gun. It was the pistol with the one shot, one kill.
Right.
Yep.
But that was the game that kind of like evolved me to play Halo and Call of Duty, and that like kickstarted my need for more first person shootings.
I'm sure it did that for a lot of people.
Yeah, mostly Halo is when I really started getting into it. GoldenEye, I played a little bit, but like I said, I kind of sucked at it, and I didn't own it, so I was just being at my friend's house getting wrecked and not really knowing what I was doing, not really understanding the controls too well or the maps. But yeah, when Halo kicked off on Xbox, that's whenever I got obsessed with some first-person shooters for a while there.
You're right. Some of those maps, like the doors weren't quite like they're like sliding doors, or some of the maps you'd slid through and like there's little secret spots. It'd be easy to get yourself lost into like a little secret spot there and get lost in the sauce on GoldenEye. Some of the maps were just too dark too.
Yeah, for its time though, crazy game.
That's one of the games that kind of like fueled like, all right, I want to get better and get more competitive. There it's probably GoldenEye, because just instantly remember like, yeah, you can't use Oddjob right there. He's a cheat character.
Nope.
And save him for the noobs. That's who I would have to use to even be able to compete back then. I didn't even know about that. He was like, at the time, I didn't know that was like the cheat code to use Oddjob. I didn't know about that until like after people talked back about remembering it. It was like, I didn't know that. If I knew it, maybe I would have used him. I would have needed him.
You gotta look down. He's like running across your above your kneecaps and stuff. You just see a hat just floating everywhere. That's up my list of like probably notable games and top favorite games would be GoldenEye.
Yeah, I think it's atop a lot of people's lists, especially 64, but even in general, people still... I don't know if it holds up as well. Have you guys went back and played any GoldenEye anytime recently?
Not as of recently, but it would be always up there, though.
Not too long, maybe like a year ago, roughly, Jordan, over at your house. Me, Sky, Kyle, we're all over there playing it a little bit, but it's tough to go back to.
Yeah,
it's hard to maneuver, like how you're used to dual stick aiming now. You know, you can walk and move, or shoot and move at the same time, but you had to like stop, pause, not pause, but stop your moving to be able to aim and stuff. And it's rough. Still suck at it, so that didn't change.
No, me too. I get it. So we kind of briefly brought this topic up, but we didn't really dive into it. I feel like we can't talk about the N64 without talking about some Zelda.
Okay, I knew you were going one of two ways with that. And if you're going with Star Fox or Zelda, because we briefly mentioned both.
We'll get to him too, but
yeah, dude, Ocarina of Time, what a game.
Yeah, so as I said, I have pretty strong opinions about Zelda. I mean, I love it as a franchise as a whole. I mean, I have a Zelda tattoo on my arm. Not like a typical Triforce like everybody else. I made my own Zelda tattoo, thank you very much. But I do love the franchise, but it's a very weird franchise to me because I love some of the games, and I really, really don't like some of them. Honestly, I think there's more that I don't like than what I do. But when it comes to the N64, Ocarina of Time is my second favorite Zelda game. I love it. I hate Majora's Mask. I think me and Sky actually talked about this on the normal show, one episode, that we just don't like Majora's Mask. But Ocarina of Time, man, that's about as classic as it gets for old 90s gaming.
I think between those two, I think Ocarina of Time is like a lot of people's favorites in general there. I mean, Majora's Mask is nice and stuff like that, but I think people enjoy Ocarina of Time a lot more.
It's a legendary game, dude. I mean, I feel like it's like the epitome of like early 3D like action adventure kind of games, you know? It's like as good as it gets back then.
So I guess it's safe to say you completed that one more than once over, Jordan, Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, so actually it's interesting because the very first time I personally played Ocarina of Time was actually not on the Nintendo 64. So I watched my friend play it a lot on his 64 back in the day. And the way I played it for the first time was because this is back in the day whenever you pre-ordered games, you actually got really cool things for them instead of like, oh, here's like a poster or a few points for our store or something. So whenever Wind Waker was coming out, I pre-ordered Wind Waker. And with the pre-order for Wind Waker, you literally just got a free copy of Ocarina of Time for the GameCube with it. So that's how I played Ocarina of Time. Yeah, that's how I played and beat Ocarina of Time for the very first time, was on the GameCube. But obviously, I've gone. I beat the 3DS version as well, when that came out. I think that's like the way to play it now, personally. But yeah, I went back and played the 64 one too, of course. It is a game I've beaten more than once, but ironically, the 64 is the console where I haven't ever beaten it. I've just kind of beaten it other places.
Yeah, I remember playing, like, I never beat this one either. I mean, there's a lot of, I used to not complete games at all. I just play games for a little bit and then go and do something else, or like just keep replaying certain parts, or I'd get stuck because I didn't have guides and stuff back then. But I remember playing this game I don't even know where I was at. It was one of my mom's friend's house, and she had kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just playing in this kid's room, playing some Zelda. I didn't even know, like, really who it was. I just remember running around, like, the Lost Woods like an idiot. Like, I didn't know which way I was going because just running around in circles, not knowing what's going on. But that was my first memory playing it.
I have a story about the Lost Woods, too. So, of course, we're pretty young back then. So, the very first time I was ever doing the Lost Woods, I was playing this at my dad's house, and my dad at the time did not have a home computer, so if you were stuck and you didn't have like a guidebook or something, you're kind of just screwed. You couldn't just like Google it or whatever. I remember I called my friend who had the guidebook, and I was like, dude, please walk me through these freaking Lost Woods. I cannot figure it out.
Seemed so complicated at the time.
Yeah, dude. He like had to like get on the game and do it like at the same time to just try to explain it. It was not going smoothly at all. Of course, now like there's easy ways to find out how to do it. You either just listen to the music or you look at that little like white light in the middle of the tunnel and you can figure out where to go. But back then I didn't know any of that.
For both of those games, I think those two titles right there, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, would be the ones I was probably backseat gaming, seeing like family members or just friends playing it. I had much fun playing, watching them play it than I played it myself.
Yeah, I used to love doing that back in the day.
Just do a little backseat gaming, like let them play and you watch it, be like a little movie to you.
That's what I'd do with Sky.
Guess that's why I watch so many Let's Plays on YouTube nowadays.
Yeah, I'd watch Sky play, get real far, and then when he'd stop playing, I wouldn't want to start over because I wasn't as good as him. I didn't want to put the time, and I just hop on his file. I wouldn't save, but I'd be like, load up his file, see where he's at, see all the stuff he has unlocked that I'm never going to be able to do. I remember hopping into his Zelda file one time, and he was at like the water temple. I was like, I don't even know what's going on here, but he has all kinds of cool stuff.
I was about to say, you go to the water temple, that's a tough time to even like, spot. To jump into.
Yeah, I did not progress anyway.
They really improved the water temple in the 3DS version. That was rough back in the day, man.
To be honest, I think that's like one of like the harder levels, like levels that like grinds people gears is the water temple.
It's unbelievably tedious because you have to constantly hit the start button to go into your menu and equip and unequip the iron boots, and there was just so many pathways and raising and lowering the water level, and it's just such a pain in the butt.
So I never actually played Majora's Mask either, really, but can't you like pretty much lock yourself and have to restart the whole game? Is that what happens? Or because I know there's like a timer. I never really understood that game. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, there's like the 3-day timer, and that just made me stressed out. I mean, obviously you can learn Ocarina songs to like reverse time and all that, but I never got really far enough to do that. I kind of just got into the game and I'm like, man, this whole timer thing just ain't doing it for me. That's about all I really know about it.
That's what I heard. Like a good friend, he was getting all upset about that. I just knew that was that game was the palette was very, very dark and stuff like that. Like you probably see it nowadays. Like all these palette colors would be like blending in with each other. Like what am I seeing here?
Yeah, I remember like the transformations were kind of weird. Like doesn't he put the mask on and like turn into stuff, and it gets like real.
Yes.
It's almost like horror-ish. It's kind of like intense when he transforms.
Yeah, he transforms. Yeah.
I want to say that's a game we rented. I don't think we ever owned that one.
Yeah, I actually own nowadays the one of those original gold cartridges, because I remember they kind of re-released it a few times. They had like that original gold one, then they had like the kind of pseudo censored versions they re-released. But yeah, I actually have one of the original gold cartridges now in my game room.
That's sick.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, man. I gave it 1 or 2 tries and it just never stuck with me. And I know there's people out there who love that game. It's just not for me.
Do you know how long it is in scope compared to like Ocarina of Time? Are they like similar in length?
I'm not sure. I'd imagine.
I want to try it someday. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but I mean, I've never really sat down and played it.
I mean, they have that one on 3DS as well. I'd imagine that's probably the better way to play
Let's say
nowadays.
they definitely have different variations where it's all cleaned up and stuff for you. 3DS version.
That's probably the best way now.
Because speaking about Star Fox, they cleaned that up as well.
Back in the day, man, whenever I played Star Fox with my older brother and his friends, either I wasn't the one getting the controller or I was stuck playing Slippy if we were doing like the split screen mode. But nowadays, man, I'll still play Star Fox maybe like once or twice a year, just kind of pick it up and play it for fun. It was actually just like the last time I played it, I got like a brand new high score. And I was on the Switcheroo podcast. We were talking about Star Fox 64, and no offense to those guys, but my score kind of blew theirs out of the water. But that's beside the point. I'd say there's 2 games, maybe 2 or 3, but we'll say there's 2 in specific that I know these games like the back of my hand. Like I know every map, I know everything that's about to happen, everything that's about to be, like every detail about these games. Ironically, they're both on the N64, but Star Fox 64 is one of those games. I can easily get through like the hard route of that game in a few minutes, no problem. Probably get a new high score like every time. I crush that game, dude. Now I've played it so many times.
You're saying you're still crushing your personal bests till this day?
To this day, dude. The last time I played the game, I was having like some sort of party at my house, maybe like a Friendsgiving or something like that last year, and I kind of just I just turned it on for the hell of it, and I didn't even do it all in one sitting. Like I played it for a while, I paused it, went back to the party, came back like an hour later, played it a little bit more, rinse, repeat, and somehow at the end of the game, I had a brand new high score, and I'm like, oh, all right, I wasn't even like really taking it seriously, but fair enough, I'll take it.
Just accidentally got a high score.
Yeah,
nothing to see here,
high
guys.
Scores. Oops. Nothing to see here, huh?
Yeah, that's the game. I love that game. That's peak N64 to me, man. And it's pretty unique too compared to a lot of other N64 games.
I remember the multiplayer on that. Aren't you actually like running around on foot and stuff in that?
You can do that, yes. I think you have to unlock that mode. But just the basic one, you're in the R-Wing.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. I can't remember. I just remember playing.
You can unlock that mode on foot. It's just I think you have to do like some of the expert levels or something like that to do that.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't unlock that again. That would have been Sky paving the way, and I just hopped in and reaped the benefits.
I think that was a game that I didn't really own physically, but I would like play at a friend's house or like just watch other people play. I played it like a lot of Duke Nukem or Doom, or we already said it before, is 007 GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Some of the first person ones there.
Now I think I might have said this on one of the episodes of the original show, but at least for me, Star Fox 64 is one of those games where you really have to play it with the N64 controller, dude. I've tried playing it on other things, like some of my I used to have like an old GPD XD Plus, if anyone knows what that is. It's like a little like emulation handheld. Played it on that. It was so not smooth. It does not feel right playing.
Doesn't feel natural at all?
No, it doesn't feel good playing it on anything other than an N64 controller. And then like you try to do it on Switch. Whenever you try to emulate the N64 and the Switch with their online service, like the buttons are always just wonky. Like some of the buttons are just in a spot you feel like they shouldn't be in, and nothing feels right. I cannot play Star Fox unless it's on the N64 controller.
Now you brought this up, like with the 3DS, they did obviously remake a lot of the games that obviously for the 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Star Fox. They feel comfortable on there, at least on the handheld. So if you want to get like a newer, redefined take on it, I guess I would recommend playing on a 3DS. Or like what you said, just go to the OG 64 controller.
Yeah. And like ironically, I've actually never even played the 3DS version, because whenever they released Star Fox 64 3DS, I was like a broke college student. So I wanted it, but I just could not afford it, and I never went back to it.
I think the only feeling I had like that was speaking about Super Smash Brothers. Everybody's playing like Melee and Brawl and stuff on the Wii U. No, give me a GameCube controller. Put that bad boy in there.
I will not play Smash with anything that's not a GameCube controller. I got my own custom-made GameCube controller for Smash. It has my name on it and everything. Like I paid money for that sucker.
I was thinking, like, how can I translate that? That's kind of like me. You said no other way that you can feel like playing Star Fox on a 64 controller doesn't feel kind of right. That's how I felt when I was playing Super Smash Brothers, like the newer ones. They're playing with the Joy Cons. I'm like, give me a controller.
And like Nintendo knows that too. Like they literally made an adapter so you can continue using GameCube controllers for Smash nowadays. Like that's wild. That's just like the Smash Bros. Controller.
Yeah, they can't outgrow that controller for that game. It's just gonna be forever.
They're great
now.
doing that too, with also with the peripherals, like the hookups and stuff like that. You can use like the older systems. I don't know if you can do it now, but you can use the older systems to plug in your other, like the newer systems. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just take my old peripheral for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Star Fox up because that's one I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to think if there's any other games. I think there's only like one other game I kind of really wanted to talk about tonight. There's a few on the list still, but there's only one more I really kind of wanted to jump into, and it's one that I don't know if you guys would have played or not. It's a well-known game, but I feel like it's kind of niche. Like I don't think everybody's gonna be super into it, but when I said there's 2 games on this system, I know like the back of my hand. The other one, I cannot tell you how many times I've played through this game. Pokemon Snap.
I was about to say that. I was actually, when you were talking about Hey You Pikachu, I was about to say, did you? I was actually thinking that. I was like, was it Snap or not?
You have no idea how much I've sunk into Snap, dude. That's the other game where I'll play it. I'll start a new game. I'll have it beat in like an hour or two. I know every single Pokemon that's going to pop up from every single spot and on every single level on that game. I know how to make them do every single pose, every little tiny thing. There's nothing about that game I don't know.
You got some iconic poses and pictures and stuff? Your album there?
If I were to go back to my file and play it, I can't possibly imagine that there's a single Pokemon I could get a higher score for. It's probably already like maxed out with each one. I sunk so much time in it.
Earlier here, when you were saying about the Pokemon game, I was like, he's gonna say Snap. Then you said, "Hey, you Pikachu" with the mic and stuff. But I'm glad that you brought it up, though. Oh,
I had to bring it up, dude. Yeah, I love that game so much. And like, what a lot of people don't realize is, I know a lot of people say like, yeah, Pokemon Stadium, it was like the first time we got to see these Pokemon in the 3D models. That's not true. Snap came out before Stadium. So Pokemon Snap was the first time we got to see these Pokemon in 3D. So that was kind of life-changing for a lot of Pokemon fans.
It was a different approach of it. Obviously, we all know about the Pokemon. It's linear. You capture the Pokemon, you fight gym leaders and stuff like that.
You can battle them, yeah. And this is different. You're just seeing them in the wild.
You're on like a river tour, then you see Pokemon just out in the wild, but you also have other trigger points, like throw a rock, you uncover this one. You're like, oh, I'm missing this one. Then you play it again. It gets that replay value into it. Then you're like, well, how do you get this one here? Then you just start throwing rocks and trying to figure out different trigger points where you find them at. I liked it.
When you say rock, are you thinking of the pester balls?
Yeah.
I'm going to be specific. I'm going to call you out. You got the pester balls, the Pokeflute, and what they call the apple-shaped Pokemon food. It's not an apple. It's an apple-shaped Pokemon food. Thank you very much, everybody.
Why, the Pokemon don't like real apples?
Nope. They like apple-shaped Pokemon food and poffins. And apparently in the new game's curry, too. I don't know. I didn't bother with that crap.
Well, one of my honorable mentions, I'm sure no one's played because it wasn't actually released in the US, and it's one I played with the to get on the old Switcheroo podcast, is Sin and Punishment. Yeah. You guys hear about this game?
I mean, from you.
Right.
No, tell me about it. Punishment? I don't think so. Tell me about it.
It's such a weird game. I've heard about it like a while back, and then I played it just recently. So this isn't like an old memory or anything, but I don't know. It's almost like a rail shooter. You're kind of running around though on foot. It's just such a weird game. It's because it was only released in Japan, I believe, so we never got the US release. But just like the character models are like so creepy looking. Like their eyes are like all like sunken in and black, and like the models are all shaped weird and stuff. We can go a lot more in detail if one wants to go check out that Switcheroo episode, but it's quite a game. It's pretty hard too. I had some fun playing it, but man, that game freaking beat me up. I had to use save states to even have a chance to get through it.
It really puts some Sin and Punishment, huh?
Oh yeah, it's all in the title, man. It's right there. They don't hold back. I thought it was gonna be a quick game because I remember looking up like how long to beat. I forget what it was. It was a pretty short amount of time, but man, I was not even close. I was like, this is insane. I thought I was gonna be able to hop in and out in like an hour, but it just kept going on and on. I'd die and have to restart. But yeah, it's worth looking into if you've never heard of it. It's such a weird game.
Speaking about games, like you thought it was gonna be good, you ended up renting it. Was Superman 64.
Oh no! I never played it myself, but I know.
That's a scary
bad.
game. Yes, it's bad.
I know it's
Very
bad.
Coming from like I was young, so I liked superheroes and stuff, and like there was some pretty good games out there, like Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1 and stuff. Then I got into that game. I played that. I was like, okay, well we have like Star Fox. There's games that you fly in. There's Pilot Wings. There's games that you fly in that have decent controls and stuff like that. So you get this game, and no way near that you think what it's gonna be. You're Superman flying through these rings. The flying mechanics is all wonky, janky, and when you do land, that's like the only time that you can like maneuverable a little bit decently, and that's still like almost impossible to do. What a terrible game! Imagine you rent that. And you have to act like you have to. You like it because it's like, imagine telling your parents at that time, "Yeah, this game's garbage." You're not gonna be able to rent a game again.
No, I mean better than getting it for your birthday or Christmas or something. That would have been a waste of a gift. You've been stuck with it for life. So at least you only rented it, right? You didn't actually buy that one.
No, rented it. It was like you had to like enjoy it. Imagine that too. It's like you want to play another game. Try to give it a chance. Then you realize years later down the road, like, yeah, this was like a genuine bad game. It wasn't because you weren't good at it. The game wasn't good.
It wasn't good at being a game. Yeah, that game I've never played, but it's just one of those infamously bad games. That and probably E.T. Those are like up there with the games that I've never played, but I just heard are just the worst.
E.T. was bad as well. Like, I tried some of that. You literally go in the hole trying to collect your pieces. Your ship
on the NES you're talking about,
you can't
right?
get out of the hole. NES. Yeah, NES. You collect your ship and you be stuck in a hole, and then that guy's chasing you around. One of the FBI people. That was a bad game.
Thankfully, never played either one, but I know that they're bad.
Yeah, I just stayed clear of them. Got to play them just for the history though. At some point, at least boot them up and see how they are. Maybe I'll like it. Who knows? Maybe my new favorite game, Superman and E.T.
Give him a shot, dude. Who knows?
I didn't know J.J. Squawkers was my favorite arcade game till I played it.
Ugh, gross.
I like the colors. I like the color palette on that game.
It's great, man. It's great.
No, it's not.
Is it because you're not a platformer person?
Even if I was, I think that game would be awful.
It's not really much of, and we don't got to dig into J.J. Squawkers right now, but it's more of a run and gun than a platformer at its core, but it's a great game. Jordan just likes to hate on it.
Speaking about running guns, I don't want to go off the rails too much though, but you guys' first episode, that game kind of holds true to my like a little upbringing of arcade games.
Metal Slug?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to revisit that someday.
For sure. It was, I don't know, it was just a corner store back in the day when there was corner stores still, like little mom and pop shops. They had a Neo Geo cabinet here, and it was Metal Slug. It always piqued my interest. Then I played it like one time, and it was like I was hooked. I was spending my allowance money there. Like you'd figure you'd be like spending like $10, $15. All right, I'm gonna get some chips, like a candy bar, a soda. Nope, it's all in that machine. I left broke, hungry, and defeated because I didn't get the chance to beat the game.
Yeah, that was a tough one to finish if you don't have unlimited credits.
I was about to say that game was definitely would sink. You would have to sink quarters in there. You definitely have to pay your way to win on that one because the boss scalings, it's coded for you to plug and chug coins and stuff in there.
Yeah, they usually are.
Yeah, that's their job. Well, boys, any other N64 games?
There's a couple I can, but there's some I can add into there. But you guys ever played that fighting game like Clay Fighters?
I feel like I played it on the PlayStation. Was there a PlayStation version?
I am not sure. I know they made like Clay Fighters like 63 and a third or something like that. The crazy title on there.
Okay, I know I played one.
Clay Motion Fighters.
No, I'm not familiar with it. I mean, it kind of sounds familiar, but I've never played it.
Yeah, it was kind of like and competitive with Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I think that's actually one I rented. I feel like I definitely played this. I thought it was a PlayStation game. I guess it is called Clay Fighters 64 or 63 and a third or whatever.
Yeah, has a goofy title to it. They have like a snowman. They had like an opera singer that she was like a Valkyrie or something. There was like a pumpkin. They had some like it was like all claymation. It was goofy.
Ichabod Clay, isn't that one of the characters?
Yeah.
That name stuck in my head for some reason.
Ichabod Clay because it's playing off Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow.
It's like the Pumpkinhead one, right?
The Headless Horseman.
Yeah, I remember him.
Another one. Some of these games, like I don't think they translated to. I think a lot of games, like I think Mario set the standard of this is 3D gaming. So a lot of games were trying to push the motion of 3D. One of them was maybe I wasn't great at it, but I love the game series in general. It's like one of my top favorite like series would be Castlevania. They had like a Castlevania 64, and dang, I stunk at that game. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was kind of like you in GoldenEye, running through walls, going to places where I don't even know where I was supposed to be belong at. And another game kind of grinded my gears a little bit was Mortal Kombat. They had like a 3D atmosphere, and it kind of played a little janky as well.
Yeah, I never played that on the 64.
Nope.
But I think those two games, they kind of like, I think they trying to push. I mean, I appreciate it, but I think they were trying to push the 3D on us a little bit, even though it's still new. It was still new to us.
Yeah, everything had to go that route just because that was the new console. We had Mario out, that was 3D. It was just like the new thing. Even if the game they could have probably made a lot cooler games if they stuck with 2D and used the N64 hardware. So it's kind of like Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PlayStation.
One of my favorite
game, and they stuck with 2D, and it was just an incredible game, and everyone was chasing that 3D Mario. Sometimes it didn't quite work out too well.
Same as Mortal Kombat, just fixated 2D fighting, but this had to be like 3D like arenas and had that like it was almost like Virtual Fighter a little bit where you can like rotate around. Sometimes the games could just be simple and it's just a good game. Like you said, Symphony of the Night, one of my top favorite PlayStation 1 games.
All right, boys, I think we're getting close to the end here. Anything else you wanted to bring up that you didn't get to discuss?
Really have to talk about this game, but just a little shout out here to when I said earlier there was only 2 RPGs I could really think of off the top of my head. One was Quest, which is bad, and one is like okay.
That's a doozy. That was a doozy.
The other one that I said was like it's kind of okay. Is if you've ever heard of Aiden Chronicles, it's fine. I mean, I mostly watched my friend play it. My experience playing it was fairly recently, actually. I played it for maybe like an hour and a half or so, and I wandered into a building with an enemy that was like way too strong for me, and it killed me, and I had not saved the game at all to this point, so that was my entire experience of ever playing that game. I was done from that point on, but in reality, it is a decent RPG.
Is it like turn-based, or what's the combat?
No, it's like action combat.
Okay, all right.
But I wanted to tell a fun story that I didn't think of earlier whenever you brought up Diddy Kong Racing as well. This is something I didn't think of the story whenever we were talking about it, but my very first experience with Diddy Kong Racing was actually on accident because, once again, we're talking a lot about renting games. So my brother and I rented Mario Kart 64 from Blockbuster, and they gave us Diddy Kong Racing on accident instead in the case, and that's how I experienced Diddy Kong Racing for the first time. So there's that.
It's a pleasant surprise.
Oh,
yeah. I guess you're surprised. I guess you're glad they didn't put Superman in there.
Oh, thank God. Oh,
yeah, it could have been much, much worse.
A few other like small random thoughts. One thing we didn't talk about that I think this might have just been like a prototype kind of thing. Do you guys remember the disk drive for the 64?
Yeah, I was gonna add that in there, but I didn't know if you guys knew too much. They had that little adapter piece where you put it under it.
Yeah, all I really remember about it was they had like that tech demo using the Final Fantasy VI characters, and that's about all I really know about it. I don't think it ever came to America, did it?
I don't think so. At least it didn't really translate too well. But I knew they were gonna add more peripherals to it. Imagine that, like there was like a little adapter piece. You put it under the system, and it would be like a CD drive, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I guess that was just not a thing for them. Sony kind of took that whole disc thing over.
Yeah.
Do you guys actually own any N64 consoles nowadays? Like,
nah. Eventually, like I said, I want to start collecting some stuff.
I have the old PS1 in the closet here, but I think we gave away that system. I was kind of sad because I was still into Sega and Super Nintendo whenever PlayStation and N64 came out. So I wanted to keep those, but I think we gave some of our older gen consoles away. We just gave them to like cousins and stuff like that. Then we got the newer gens like the PlayStation 1 and N64.
Yeah. Brad, I know you've seen them being over my house, but I have 5 of them personally. I have 5 Nintendo 64 consoles. I have 5. I have the original like dark gray one. I have a purple, an orange, a green, and a blue, I believe. So I'm kind of trying to just get all these fun, colorful ones. The one I really want, like my holy grail one that I want, is the Pikachu one. If I can ever get my hands on that, that'd be wonderful. But for now, I have those 5. Gotta catch all the 64.
Fill out that N64 Pokédex.
Yes, sir.
Now out of the 5, is there one that you hook up and play consistently, or you just test them all?
Just the standard like black gray one.
Okay. I think at one time I actually had 2 because I had a buddy that moved away or something, and he was giving rid of all his games, older games and such like that. So I had two N64s at that time, and he gave me his little collection of gems. That's why I think I got into Rampage, because he had that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll use the other controllers as needed because those things aren't always too reliable nowadays. So I have a million controllers, so you kind of just got to find the ones that work. Oh, I forgot to talk about 1080 snowboarding. That game was fun too. Not much to talk about there though. Just a random thought there. I played that game a lot as a kid.
Just a game you remember playing.
Just a fun game.
There's a couple games I don't think I played, and I saw people play it or something. But obviously, there's Mario for Nintendo, and there was like other mascots like Crash for PlayStation or Spyro. Remember they were trying to add in like Glover, the glove?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that game? That game was like tough.
I just remember seeing the cover. I've never played that game.
Oh, it's tough. It had the
same.
isometric views and stuff, and like the way you had to control it, like you had more time going off the map than anything.
I never played it. Just saw it. Do we still want to do a Rushmore like we were saying earlier before we wrap it up?
I think I got a list of favorite games, or like I guess personal games I have. If you guys want to,
just a top 4 per person.
Top 4
in no specific order.
Sounds good.
No specific order. I guess top 4.
Yeah, I mean, I picked my 4. If you guys want me to start, I think just kind of thinking it out as we talked. My Rushmore, and of course, this is not saying the 4 best N64 games. This is just my personal 4 favorite N64 games. I think if I were to come down to it, I'm gonna go with Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64, Pokemon Snap, and Pokemon Stadium 2.
Okay, Justin.
I would say Mario Kart, Super Mario 64, 007 GoldenEye, and Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to have to, of course, I got to throw my man Diddy Kong in there. Diddy Kong Racing. That's one of my top. Pokemon Snap. Probably have to put Smash Bros in there.
I thought about it.
That was tough.
I don't know about the
I wanted to.
Tough, man.
It just missed for me.
I'll probably have to go with, even though I haven't played it much, just memories of it, Ocarina of Time. That one's got to be in there for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember just running around, like, when I played a little bit. And, like, once you get to the open area, and you're just, like, cruising around and, like, that. It's not very big, but at the time, it seemed like it was huge just running around in that field and stuff. Good times.
Hey, Jordan, I'll add in some honorable mentions. I kind of got out of it, but, like, I grew up with it, but the WWF, No Mercy, and stuff like that. These wrestling games were fun. Man.
Mine was definitely WCW Revenge, for sure. That was my big-time wrestling game if I was picking one.
All right, guys. I think we spent a lot of time talking about the 64 here. Any closing thoughts before we start closing it up here?
Times was so much simpler. Like we added just gathering around on the weekends with family members. renting games from Blockbusters or getting the console for Christmas or Easter and stuff like that. I think that's kind of like, it seemed like it was so much simpler back in the day.
Yeah, it was all about, even if the game sucked, if it was 4 of you in a room playing, just laughing, having a good time, chilling, playing some N64, you had a bad game, it didn't matter, you're just hanging out, playing some games.
Absolutely, you got some pizza, you got some chips, you got some soda, you're playing Mario,
perfect Saturday night.
Kart, passing the sticks, or playing just any game that you popped in. It was a good one.
All right, well, I think that pretty much does it then. Thank you everyone who listened, and we'll be back with our regular arcade review on the next episode. If you like this and want us to do more stuff like this, there's plenty of other old consoles we can cover, so let us know, send us a message, or comment on the episode here, and give us some recommendations. And Justin, I don't know, do you do anything else online? Do you have any content you're making? Is there anywhere anyone can find you, or nothing at the moment?
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter or YouTube. It's my Twitter would be Heavy Hits PROD. So it's Heavy Hits Prod, HEAVYHITS PROD, or you can do at Heavy Hits on YouTube. And once again, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it's also an honor to being on this podcast. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Jordan.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, had a lot of fun having you here. We'll definitely have you back for another episode. So the fans will have to wait for your
definitely
return.
Had a lot of fun.
All right, boys. That wraps it up then. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Insert that closing line and stuff. All the stuff I usually say.
Later. Thanks.